Hey guys, we've got some pretty cool stuff today. The new item is the soap. Furiah, I assume is how they want us to pronounce that, from Goodfellas Smile. I've never tried a soap from them before, and so when I was placing an order for something else, I noticed that this vendor had Goodfellas Smile, and so I went ahead and ordered it. And because the same company, Barbaria Uniti or something like that. Yeah, Barbieri Uniti. They're the company who now makes the croap for fine accoutrements. Fine switched in recent years from those hard pucks, the classic pucks that they did, to this kind of croap made from this company. And this is the AJ-1 vegetarian or vegan base. It's not a tallow. Normally I do prefer tallow, but the scent that they had available at the time, 1 or 2 cents, for just weren't really my style. And this one definitely is, with kind of leather, wood, that kind of thing. Other gear we have today, got my cool Dogwood Briar Brushworks DG Declaration Grooming 13 Badger Brush Knot. We'll get him back in the water. Nice soft tips here. And then the Wolfman WR1. And this is the, I think the H1 handle, solid. And it doesn't have those little fangs coming down from the top cap, so we know it's the WR1. And this is the 46 gap, solid bar. And it is one where I am putting it through a lot of different razor blades, because this is a mild gap that you may not see anything milder than the 46. And it's getting to that mild range so that there are actually a good many blades that don't work well in it for me, because it's just at the extreme end, right? And so, but I think that, like some razors like the Feather ASD2, if we, Perma Sharp, stainless, if we find and work at finding some blades that work really well with those razors that are at the mild end of the spectrum, then that just might be a gold mine, right? Like there are just a few blades like the Feather brand that work with the Feather ASD2, but when they do, ooh, it is a really neat experience, with a great shave being given to you, but also with amazing comfort and smoothness. All right, so let's see how this 46 does with the Perma Sharp. This is a blade that does work well with me with a bunch of other razors too. So hopefully, right? Why is it so, it's just so funny. I'm often recording in this location with this color shirt that pretty much matches the wall. I don't know. I don't know if I was in the military. I don't know if I gravitate toward this kind of neutral olive drab type color. I don't know. Now the soap here has kind of a rough look to it. It kind of has a sandy, thick-grained kind of texture. It is the AJ-1 vegan base, and apparently that's named after argan jojoba. I assume that's how you pronounce that, jojoba oil. And so it doesn't have a great appearance to it, but as we know, appearances can be deceiving. And it comes with this little plastic protector lid, which I'm going to keep in case I don't like the performance here. I can send that to whoever I sell this puck to. I like these kind of rounded containers. They seal up nicely and have a nice solid feel to them. You don't see that too many times with American companies. TFS, Zhongfeng Xing, is an Italian maker with a Chinese name that uses that same type of container for some of its soaps. 1/4 teaspoon, And there's a little gap right there. And so I think by the time you kind of add things in and fill in the gaps, we've got just a bit more than a quarter teaspoon here. So if that's enough product, then we'll have a good shave. If it's not enough, then that will be some information that we learn from this shave, because that will tell us that this vegan soap, you'll need to use more product when you use it. And then that way you'll know about, compared to others like Stirling, which requires a lot less than this quarter teaspoon, you'll be able to know if it's kind of a soap that will give you a few uses, more or less uses, per ounce, that kind of thing. And so just pressing this in. Happy holidays. The Christmas is now over, and we focus on the new year. I don't usually make New Year's resolutions. Because so often they're just not kept. I may make New Year's intentions. All right. So there we go. Pretty soft. And so it's very easy to spread around. We'll see what kind of lather we get. I will take this brush out, and it holds a lot of water. You can just see that. So I'm going to shake a lot of that out. The sink is kind of close to the camera. I'm sorry I have to do this in front of so close to the lens there. All right, so we've still got a good bit of water in the brush, but most of it's gone. And so I'm going to put that over here in the bowl. I'm going to cut now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my face wet. But another thing I'm going to do is a little experiment. I've had this badger brush soaking for, I don't know, 15 minutes. And I also got, at the time 15 minutes ago, I got this boar brush wet. And this is a Smoke Owners Club boar brush. And what I'm going to do is this experiment. I've got this now soaking in my soak cup because I don't usually use it after the first part of the shave. And so now it can be used by another brush. At the end, I'm going to take a hairdryer, and like I've been talking about recently, maybe do a little bit of a brush break-in accelerator there at the end of the shave. Take that and just kind of blow cool air across, or even if that hairdryer doesn't do cool, I'll do warm air, but just a few minutes of blowing it across the tips. Not really very intense, but just to see if maybe we can see what happens. And see if it breaks the tips splits the tips in a good, beneficial, safe way, and it helps to get to a really soft place with this brush. So that'll come at the end, assuming I remember, which I probably will. All right, let's get my face wet, and let's start working that little bit of soap. Soap looks like plenty of soap when you have it in that quarter teaspoon, but sometimes when you spread it in the bottom of the bowl, it really doesn't look like very much soap at all. Really have enjoyed using this batch 13 here of hair from Declaration Grooming. He's on 14 now, which the material I've read says that it's very similar to 13, but it's got just a little bit more backbone. And since I don't really need more backbone than 13, I'll probably be avoiding 14. But I'll bet if I wasn't able to get a hold of a 13, then there might be some 13s out there with maybe a little bit longer loft that I might really enjoy. Really enjoyable scent here. If you like the woods and leather and maybe a little bit of amber or something, you can look in the description of the video if you're curious about the a more precise list of scent notes. So I ordered this and looked at this article so long ago that I don't remember them myself, other than what's just obviously jumping out at my nose here. And so in that sense, it's kind of a blind evaluation. And so at the end of this, I'll paste in that, and we'll be able to see if anything was really obvious in the write-up that I should have noticed. Yeah, just, you know, just a nice leather scent. And I opened up the soap, and then I sat right outside the door here while I kind of waited for the brush to soak in the water, and I just watched some YouTube videos, scrolled through my YouTube feed, that sort of thing. And the scent of the soap kept coming out to me, and so I really like that part of it. It's got some intensity there. And just because the fine accoutrements is now, the croap there is being made by the same company that makes this, of course it doesn't mean that it's the same formula. Well, I can kind of feel the texture here of this lather, and I don't think I want to go any further with water. It feels kind of light, and so I don't think I want to push it too far. I may be pleasantly surprised once I get it to my face. Let's look at the way it kind of falls and behaves. Okay, that's kind of nice. That could be really good. Doesn't look super thin, does it? All right. Got my face wet again, and I do have a day and a half of growth dealing with here. As a 28mm brush with this fan type shape, it really lets a lot of the bristles, the tips there, touch and work on your face kind of all at once, and it's a neat experience. This handle is a little short for me, but with this grip right here, where the saddle of the handle is a place where my thumb rests and my finger, my middle finger lays nicely and comfortably, and then there's just a little bit where my index finger is able to come up a little bit farther, and that seems to work well. Well, it does not look like at all that I have overwet this lather. And if you give yourself a little time here on the face to play with it, you can help yourself. If you've made a mistake, if you haven't mixed for long enough, then you will basically kind of continue that process on your face. And sometimes you'll know that a good sign that you haven't mixed for long enough is that you'll get a good bit of lather build up around the edges here, and then you'll get a lot of lather build up around the sides of your brush. I haven't had a lot built up this particular shave, but I wanted to get rid of it before it started falling, making an unnecessary mess. And sometimes that means that you could lather more with it if you wanted to. You could have built it up with more water if you wanted to, but it also might save you a little bit of time if you realize that, hey, you know what, I don't really mind not building this up 100%. If I just get it most of the way, I can finish it on my face and save a little bit of time. You know, it's all up to you. There's no right or wrong here. Whatever you enjoy. But I do like to spend a little time working on my face to feel the excellence of the brush, for one thing, but mostly to really get the lather to work into my skin and as best it can. And then be able to protect, give slickness and all those things, starting to feel a little on the dry side, relatively speaking, and so and we are continuing to see the lather kind of come out the sides of the brush, and you can see it on my face around the edges. And so I wanted to kind of make it more slick. I want to give this lather a chance to be excellent. See how creamy it does feel once we kind of use our face here to make sure it's fine-tuned. I think we're pretty close here. Yeah, see, I definitely could have worked it for longer. Look at all that excess. I added some more water, and then bam, it started to really increase in quantity. So that means I could have definitely mixed it for longer and added more water in the bowl at the time. In terms of the feel right now, it's got a nice, creamy, luxurious type feel. So for a vegan soap, that is nice. Doesn't feel skimpy or thin or anything like that. All right, so Perma Sharp in the 46 gap Wolfman WR head on 1.5 days of growth. Ooh, nice. Comfort's high, but I do feel that edge, but only in the sense of cutting hairs. That's probably a good sign. With this mild gap, I don't really have to worry too much about my blade angle, because if you've got the right one, it cuts well comfortably. If you've got the wrong one, it just doesn't cut very much at all. And so there you go. After rinsing, I can tell you that I do really enjoy the feel of this lather, the way my skin felt after during the rinses, the way the lather felt in my hands as I was doing that. It has nice feel to it that I would enjoy the experience of using this soap on a consistent basis. It feels very nice. Had good slickness during that first pass. The efficiency, not great, but pretty good. There were some good sections that had a nice close shave, and so I'll bet I do end up with a good shave with this one. It might be that pass number 2 has a little more work to do than sometimes when you have a more efficient razor. So with comfort this high, that might be really nice. Might be a great combo. Cross grain now. Do feel that edge, like I said, and so it's not going to be one of those situations where you wonder if a blade is in there, but it's very predictable. It's solidly held, and I'm enjoying it. I'll bet this is going to be a good blade to use with this razor. I'm going to keep things really comfy and not really go too much against a cross grain from the other direction until the next pass. So yes, I continue to enjoy the rinsing process, the feel of that extra wet lather being worked off my face, and my skin now. I don't feel any stubbly sections at all like I did after the first pass. And so yes, that second pass has easily taken care of any noticeable stubble. And so then this Third pass is now just a little cleanup, you know. And I'm also encouraged because, look, we have plenty of lather here for the third pass. And then we've got like 3 more passes in the bowl. So it looks like this is a nice, what's the word I'm looking for? Economical soap, where you don't have to use a lot of soap to get a lot of lather. I could back off to, you know, less than a 1/4 teaspoon of soap and still have plenty for a, you know, 4 passes of lather to be ready for me in the bowl. It looks great. It makes the brush, it feels great in the brush with these nice soft tips. So this is a winner base to me, and you know, with bases like this and Southern Witchcrafts is another example of a great vegan base. You don't feel as bad if in the future, as some of the makers are starting to remove tallow, whether because of the cost of it or because of environmental pressures. With soaps like this, you don't feel as bad if you have to lose those tallow bases, because this is really very enjoyable. Razor is moving very well, very freely, doing a good job protecting. And this blade, I think, only has 1 use on it. And you can tell the sound there is, the hair cutting sound is a lot lower because we are dealing with, you know, just a few pickups, you know, just the top edges of some of the stubble instead of long pieces. Now we'll go the different zone that we haven't been able to do yet, which is cross grain from the other direction, and now kind of a more standard stroke for this section over here. And I believe I should end up with a nice close shave. And this may be one of the, there's a couple blades that have done well with this very mild gap, but a lot of blades that haven't, just because it's right on the edge there. This is just a very strong leather accord. In terms of the composition of it, it's just, leather is in your face. And it's not a sweet leather, but it's not super pungent. I really do enjoy it. So, Goodfellas Smile, vegan base, AJ-1. Furiah is the scent, and I'm really enjoying the scent, but it's also not too much. In lather form, the scent power is reduced a little bit from smelling the tub itself, and so it's not overpowering, or I'm not sitting here in the middle of it thinking that I really can't wait for the shave to be over. It took on more of a mid-strength, maybe 4 or 5 out of 10, and I enjoy that part of it. I'm able to fully apprehend and grab the scent and enjoy it during the shave, but it's not bothersome at all. And the slickness is nice. Now, I don't have a lot of residual slickness here, so secondary, it is, my skin's almost dry, and in my cheeks, I've got a little bit of leftover lather down here. Now, if I do take some of the excess here and I spread it around, then yes, you know, you've kind of, I could just shave off of this little bit that, you know, I was able to get from my goatee, and see that's very, very slick, and I can feel any spots that might need touching up if I do need to do that. This is the kind of scent that I really often like to immerse myself in terms of my lather, and I want it enveloping me as I shave, but it's one of those that I think I could get tired of and overwhelmed by if I had it as an intense cologne that was around me for hours. And so I love to have it as a shaving soap, kind of like Port-au-Prince from Stirling. That vetiver and lemongrass is intense, and Texas on Fire as well from Stirling, with its kind of roasty, woody nature, burned wood kind of thing. Love to have it around me during the shave, but maybe not so much as a cologne if it's too strong. But thoroughly enjoying it as a lather and during my shave here. How much water do we use? Not a ton. Just 13 milliliters, something like that. Not very much water was needed. And I do feel like I hit the lather perfectly. It was more, it was richer in that first pass. You kind of saw the excess, and I did keep adding water to the brush. But then that too thick lather turned into perfect as I would, between passes, add a little bit of water to my face and then use that and work with that and bring that into that next pass of lather. It ended up to be just perfect. A creamy feel that I enjoyed during the rinses, but slickness was high. So this lather kind of wins on all points. Well, I guess the only possible one is it kind of evaporated and left me with without any slickness. But I mean, big deal. You just reapply, right? So that, to me, that's a small negative, a very small one. So I really enjoyed this soap. I like the fact that it doesn't take a lot to get you the lather amount that you need. So you're not going to be using it up really super quickly or wastefully unless you want to. And the slickness was very high. The luxury, comfort, creamy feel factor, to me, very high. And that's what I expect and what I hope for in a soap. So Goodfellas Smile, AJ-1 base, passes with flying colors, as well as this scent was just thoroughly enjoyable. Now, while I let my face, having been dried off by the towel, I did feel, oh, look right there. I felt it, but I didn't see it until I looked. Ah, yes, there we go. That little guy right there is a mole that I will occasionally nick. And so it must have just been a little bit of careless technique there. And proof that, that we're cutting here, Let me check my closeness right quick. Yes, very happy with the closeness here. In my trouble spot area, there were a few, tips that I could clean up if I wanted to, but just no big deal at all. So excellent. We're adding another blade to the list here that is enjoyable with this razor, so that's pretty cool. All right, now to that bore experiment that I was doing. I had this guy soaking during the entire shave, and so we're going to. I could just simply have it soaking during every shave and then dry it. And so in a sense, it's like it's being used every shave when it's really not. So that's one way I could accelerate break-in, right? So it's soaking and saturated here. My SpongeBob is my friend who kind of does this technique, and so I might get him to watch this video and critique, if just in case he notices anything that I do that he doesn't. And here's the reason why I'm adopting an accelerator method here. Sure, I enjoy this bore brush a lot, and normally I would recommend just, if you have one or two bore brushes, don't do an accelerator, just use them. Just use them, and they will become awesome. And with my Simogan Zenith brushes, it only takes my experience has been, without any kind of accelerator, maybe just a long soak before use, like 30, 45, 60 minutes before use, during those first 15 uses. They're comfy in 6 uses, maximum 15 uses, and then they're comfy and enjoyable, and they don't eat lather, and then you can just wait for them to get even better as the tips split more and more as time goes on from that point. But what if you got a lot of them, like I do? I've got 20 or 30 or 40 bore brushes, and so I was forced with the fact that if I just gradually wait for them to be used enough to get into that awesome state, I'm going to be an old man. And then because I want to mix in using badger brushes as well, right? And so I could either reduce my inventory by a lot or start with some kind of little accelerator, and this is what I've chosen. All right, so I'm going to shake a lot of the water out. Now, I don't know if he does it to a saturated brush like this, or if he does a little towel stropping Let's just play it maybe the safe route and do just a little bit of towel stropping here. Okay, there we go. And so, you know, definitely a wet brush here. He says he only does it for a few minutes. This hairdryer does have a cool setting, so I will use that. And this is one that the kids have coiled up the cord on. This is going to be noisy, okay? So if you're wearing headphones or something like that, maybe now's a good time to mute, perhaps, until you, or turn the volume down until you figure out how it's going to sound. I'm going to do it on low speed. And that is 1 minute. I started on 31, and so here we are at 31. I don't believe that was 2 minutes. The tips are still quite damp, and I was able to easily see some of these tips on the outside really start to you can do the bragging about the splits. Let's this time do the second minute on a warm setting instead of cool. So, yeah, I can feel it. The the core here is still quite wet, very damp to the touch. Visibly, I can easily see more of the tips split than before. The tips here are still damp, and so I'll have to ask SpongeBob what his technique was. I think he said that the base here would still be plenty damp, but the tips would get dry. Now, whether I need to do that each time, I don't know. We'll check with him and see. But I think that's a neat step, and I think some of the tips would definitely were definitely affected. Although they may have just been the ones on the outside. Maybe he likes to use higher heat, so we'll just keep experimenting and see what happens. What I may do is 5 treatments and then use it. 5 treatments, then use it and see if I can tell a difference. In terms of my skin after the shave, I didn't actually bring down a post-shave product with me, but I definitely don't need any kind of balm or any product to try to rescue my skin. It feels very nice. I don't feel any irritation. That tenderness that was right there is gone totally. So very good skin feel after. I could probably even skip a post-shave treatment. Tobacco, I think. Leather, tobacco, maybe wood. I was reminded just now, I had a hint and they said, oh, tobacco. I think you missed that one. Pretty sure there's some of that in there. I think that rounds out the leather really nicely. So that's today's shave. Happy with the Perma Sharp. Look forward to trying it more with this razor. The brush did great as usual. The soap did great. So really happy here. Sugar Daddy Shaves, thank you so much. Hope this one helps you out. Take care.